We praise and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon our messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon his family, his companions, and all those that follow the right path until the day of resurrection. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, a man will be brought on the day of judgment. A man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a lot of ni'mah in the world. He had a good life in the world. Allah gave him a lot of property, a lot of wealth. Then this man will be brought on the day of judgment and thrown into Jahannam just for a short while. Just for a second, Allah dips him into Jahannam. Then he gets him out of Jahannam, which is the hellfire, and says to him, did you enjoy anything in the world? Did you have any bounties in the world? Did you enjoy any life in the world? This man is a man who had a lot of property, a lot of wealth. He was a rich man. He had everything he needed in the world. Then Allah puts him in Jahannam only for a second and takes him out and asks him, have you ever enjoyed life? He says, Ya Allah, I've never seen anything good in my life. I never enjoyed anything in my life. I've never had a good life before. Because of the punishment, because Jahannam is so hot, only being in Jahannam for 1 second makes him forget everything he enjoyed in the world. He forgets it. Because of 1 second in Jahannam. All the bounties, all the wealth that Allah gave him, the whole good life he led in the world is forgotten because of the punishment of Jahannam for just 1 second. Then Allah brings a man who had absolutely nothing in the world. His whole life was just suffering. He never knew a good life. Hungry most of the time. No proper place to sleep. His life is a struggle. He suffered his whole life in the world. Then Allah brings him and puts him in Jannah, in paradise, for just a second. To taste paradise. The bliss of paradise, the beauty of paradise. Then Allah asks him, just a second in paradise, He says to him, did you ever suffer in the world? Have you ever experienced any suffering? He says, Ya Allah, what is suffering? I don't know what suffering is. I've never suffered at all. He forgets all his suffering. He forgets all his poverty. He forgets the way he struggled in the world, all the troubles, the heartaches of the world. He forgets them because of 1 second in paradise. This hadith is a great hadith, if only we understood it. This hadith encompasses a strong meaning. What the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is trying to say to you and to me is, if you're going to suffer in the world, even if you suffer your whole life, it's only for a short period of time, and when Allah takes you to Jannah, you will forget all this suffering as if you never suffered at all. It will be erased from your memory as if you've never encountered any suffering. The opposite is true. If you enjoy the world, whatever Allah is going to give you in the world, if the final destination is going to be Jahannam, you will forget all the bounties you enjoyed in the world. It will feel like you never enjoyed anything at all in life because of the suffering of Jahannam. Therefore, the world is not worth it. If everything we enjoy is going to be forgotten, we feel like we never enjoyed a thing at all, and the life of the world is so short, then it's not worth it at all. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, the food that the son of Adam eats is enough for him as an example of just how miserable the life of the world is. Ya Rasulullah, what do you mean? He says the food we eat is enough as an example of what the world is supposed to be. Then he explains further, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says, look at his food, man's food. When he brings it, the food is properly cooked, very enticing dish, with spices and all salt and everything, very nice food, beautiful. Then mankind eats it. These are the words of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He eats it. But what is the end result? After he eats the food, what comes out? What becomes of the food? Something undesirable. It doesn't matter how beautiful the food is. It may be some of the best food in the world, but when you eat it, after that the end is something undesirable, something no one wants to see, something that even the one who ate the food does not want to see at all. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says the life of the world is the same. It looks beautiful and you want to go for it, you want to enjoy it, but the end is never good. There is nothing good to enjoy at the end of the day. People enjoyed the world, but at the end of the day, what came out is just regret. They only regret it. And I remember one time quoting from the Manduma of Abi Ishaq al-Ilbidi, where he says, when you enjoy the bliss of the world, everything we have been enjoying by tomorrow becomes like a dream. As if you were just dreaming, as if it was not real. Ask people who had a lot of money a long time ago. They went to different places. They went to Paris, they went to America, they went to all different places. But when you ask them today, it feels like a dream, like, yeah, but it's much more like a dream. There's nothing really to point at. It's not different from my dreams. In my dreams, I traveled the world. In my dreams. In my dreams, I travel the world. I go to Paris, I go to India, I go to Japan, China, all different parts of the world. In my dreams. And someone 20 years ago traveled the world in reality, but when we come together, we're just the same. My dreams and your traveling are just the same. They're all just memories. And there's nothing real to touch, nothing to point out. Khasara, it's a loss. There's nothing in it. Further, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the life of the world is like a person who goes to the sea and dips his finger into the sea. What comes out compared to what remains in the sea is what the world is, which is nothing, zero. But then it's sad, because our attention 100% is focused on something which is nothing, something that has no benefit. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to his wives, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah, Ya ayyuhan nabi, qul li azwajik, in kuntunna turidna al-hayata ad-dunya wa zinataha, fata'alayna umatti'ukunna wa usarrihukunna sarahan jamila. وإن كنتن تردن الله ورسوله والدار الآخرة فإن الله أعد للمحسنات منكن أجرا عظيما. This is a warning to the wives of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to them. Allah spoke to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, addressed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah, ask your wives if they want the life of this world, if they want something worldly from you, Obviously, you're a messenger of Allah. Those who want the world must ask to be divorced so that they can go and pursue the world. But if they want Allah and want His messenger, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared a gracious reward for them. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called them one by one, starting with Aisha. Aisha, if the world is what you're looking for, if you want nice food, a nice house, nice things, enjoyment, you're not in the right place. With the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you married the wrong man. If that is the case, then I'll give you freedom to leave. But if you're more focused on the hereafter, then Allah has a reward for you. You have the choice. Choose either the world or the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And all of them, all of the wives of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam chose Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam over the world. That is why they will be his wives in Jannah. If your wife is a wife that chooses the world, wants something comfortable, something worldly from you only, she can't be your wife in paradise. You either choose the world or choose deen. If your wife is more interested in the world, she's more interested in what to eat, where to sleep, that is the most important thing to her, you don't yet have a wife in paradise. Because that wife is not a wife of paradise. A wife of paradise is a wife that chooses religion, chooses the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam over the world. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fought in the battle of Hunayn, and there were lots of spoils of war, the booty to be shared, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave a lot of the spoils of war to the people of Mecca, especially the new Muslims who just embraced Islam. And some of the companions of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam who received him in Medina and lived with him in Medina felt, well, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has decided to give the spoils of war to his Meccan relatives. He's forgotten us. We received him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his hour of need. We gave him support, we gave him help. And now that Islam has prevailed and we've conquered Mecca, and now in the battle of Hunayn we have a lot of property that has to be shared, and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gets the property and gives it to his family members in Mecca and leaves us empty-handed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called them. And he advised them sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, are you not happy that I have chosen to give them the world? Let them take dunya. And you take with you the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is the better bargain. Let them have the world. The booty, the horses, the whatever, that's worldly things. You are taking with you something more important, something that's going to give you a hereafter. You take with you the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that is much better for you. We don't know what is good for us. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ad-dunya mal'oon, the world is cursed. It's useless. Ma fihinna, there is nothing in the world except three things. He counted sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How many things? Three things. Dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa ma walahu, and whatever is considered to be in the category of the remembrance of Allah. Anything that has to do with deen, salah, zakah, dhikr, whatever, that is number one. That is what is found in dunya. Number two, wal-alim wal-muta'allim, and the alim, the scholar, and the student. These are the only people in the world. Everyone else is cursed. The whole dunya is cursed. The only benefit you get from this world is either dhikrillah or ilm, learning, or being an alim. That's the only benefit. Everything else is useless, absolutely useless, with no benefit at all. He says, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is between me and the world? What relationship is there between me and the world? There is no relationship between me and the world. In other words, I'm not related to this world. The only relationship between myself and the world is like the relationship of a person who is traveling and then he finds a shade in which to sit. He sits there for 1 hour and after that he leaves. What is the relationship between you and the tree under which you sat? Is there a relationship? Do you even remember the tree in your life and think, the tree I sat under? You forget it completely. The world is like that. We're on a long journey and then we found some shade and we sat under the shade for an hour, and after that we proceed. We go on, we move on. نحن قدرنا بينكم الموت, says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've written death for you. وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَسْبُوقِينَ ليه؟ عَلَىٰ أَن نُبَدِّلَ أَمْثَالَكُمْ وَنُنْشِئَكُمْ فِي مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ النَّشْأَةَ الْأُولَىٰ فَلَوْلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. We created death. Why death? So that we can move you on to another life and replace you with other people. You have already known the life of this world. Nasha'at al-ula, the first life, you've known it. We want to move you on to another life. This is a station. But some people turn the station into everything. They live for the world. They breathe for the world. Everything they do is for the world. They forgot the real purpose of existence. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib aw 'abir sabil." Be in the world like a stranger or someone who's just passing. And really that's what you are in the world. Think of the grave as your home. There we're going to spend a lot of time. A lot of our time is going to be spent there. Very little of our time is going to be spent here. I want you to ask yourself, in the same way I ask myself, what is my priority? What do I take as my priority in this life? The answer is, your priority is food. Your priority is shelter. Your priority is wife. Your priority is comfort. Everything else comes after that. I've never seen anyone in our community fight for religion or fight for the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam the way they fight for money. If you promise them some money or owe them some money, they will call you day and night and they will look for you and they will find you until they get their money. But for religion, that's very, very different. I don't think anyone is going to start looking for you concerning salah or concerning anything that has to do with deen. That's none of our business. That's not our priority. Our priority is this world. All of us. Shaitan has blinded us. Shaitan has beautified the world. We've forgotten the hereafter. Until death comes suddenly, then you realize this is all nothing. It's absolutely nothing. A lot of people owned it before us. What we have is nothing compared to what they had. And everyone is going to leave it behind. So our theme is, I want us to focus on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to focus on. Is religion really important in your life? Is Islam important to you? Is it as important to you as the dunya is? for your child, do you consider Islam to be as important as dunya? No, we don't. Look here. When we take our children to school in order to become doctors or engineers, politicians, we're ready to spend a lot of money to put them in the best of schools. If they didn't pay school fees and they send them back home, we fight tooth and nail. Some people send their children to schools where they pay 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, 15,000. And they're happy to do that. This is something that has to do with the world. But when it comes to Islamic education, I don't think anyone would pay 1,000 for Islamic education. They would say, you're mad. If a teacher said, I want to teach your children for 5,000 per month, you'd say, Sheikh, come here. Let's feel your temperature. You're sick. Why? I can't pay 5,000 for Quran. You can pay 5,000 for something else. What about Quran? Quran, I can pay 100 kwacha or 200 kwacha. So when you look at this mizan, you start thinking, well, this has no value. This has more value. The world has more value than the akhirah. Ilm has no value at all. The respect that's given to someone in society, someone who's a doctor or someone who's a politician, is not the same respect that's given to someone who is knowledgeable in religious terms. It's not the same respect. If someone is a doctor or someone is an engineer, people look at him as being someone in the society, but someone who learned Quran and so on. That's the mizaniyah. It shows what is found in the heart. Like the Arabs say, إنما الكلام لفي الفؤاد وإنما جعل اللسان على الفؤاد دليلا. The true words spoken by a person or true attitude is found in the heart. For us, what we see outwardly is just evidence of what is found in the heart. So to know, you don't have to tell me what value you attach to Islam. I'll look at you and see how you struggle for Islam in order to know what value Islam has in your life. It's just that simple. And all of us have been found lucky. Nas'alullah al-afiyah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam at one time found people on the outskirts in a place in Medina, dragging a dead donkey, akramakumullah, going to throw it away. Then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked, he said, who would buy this donkey for such and such a price? It's dead. He said, Ya Rasulullah, this type of donkey with small ears, even if it were alive, we wouldn't buy it. It's a useless one. Dead, we don't even want to see it. He said, the world to Allah is as useless as this donkey you're going to throw away. Allah does not want it. He doesn't value it. So anything you gain which is worldly to Allah is rubbish. Allah is not interested in it. Just like a dead donkey being dragged to be thrown away, it has no value in the eyes of Allah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if the world had any value, then the kafir would not drink a cup of water in this world. If the world had some value, a kafir would not get a cup of water. But because the world has no value, Allah gives it to Muslim and kafir. You should ponder, you should think. If this thing is valuable, Allah would give it only to people who obey Him. But Allah gives it to gangsters. Gangsters with a lot of money. They kill people. They sell drugs and they have a lot of money. For Allah to give it to them, it must be something without value. But the ilm of deen and piety, you think Allah would give that to gangsters? You know too many gangsters who memorize the Quran. You know too many gangsters who know Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. You know too many gangsters who pray 5 times a day and follow all the regulations of Islam. Allah doesn't give it to them because this is something of value. So when you get it, it doesn't mean anything. He gives it to kafir and he gives it to mu'min. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu has some good food put in front of him. And especially after the Futuhat, you know, the Muslims conquered many places in the world. He sits down and begins crying. They say, Khalifa, these are good times. We are conquering the world. We have everything we need. What makes you cry? He says, my fear is that on the day of judgment, Allah might say to us, أَذْهَبْتُمْ طَيِّبَاتِكُمْ فِي حَيَاتِكُمُ الدُّنْيَا وَاسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهَا. You already took your share in the world and there is nothing for you. He fears possession. He thinks, well, this might be, Allah might say on the day of judgment, this was your share. You took all the good things. But when we get stuff, I don't think anyone worries about that. When suddenly you run into a lot of money, the last thing on your mind is Allah will say on the day of judgment, you took your share in the world. Come on, forget about that. When you run into a lot of money, you become excited, you become happy. But money guarantees you nothing. We are here for a purpose, and the purpose is worship. This is the reminder I wanted to give to myself and give to you. It is not too late. We don't know when Allah is going to claim our lives, but we need to give priority to our religion. Fight for your religion the same way you fight for your food. Fight for your religion the same way you fight for your families. This is what we are. That's why we are called Muslims. Islam, we submitted ourselves to the will of the Creator. We did not submit ourselves to property. I'm not saying we should not work in order to put food on our tables. We should, but we should realize that's not the main reason why we are in the world. We are in the world to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه فهو أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة.